Oh my God, it is going everywhere. Let's go. Okay, my name is Mustafa. I am coming from Turkey, or we call it now Turkey, because we are not birds. So actually, Nick's is good friend, and he was asking me to come. So let's start with who am I? I am actually information security specialist for like 25 years. I am hacking web applications and many stuff. I am part-time bounty hunter. With part-time, I mean I really do it part-time, like maximum 10 hours a month, And I am Backcraft's Hacker Advisory Board member, which is basically we are the communicating with the Backcraft itself for the researchers, So we actually help them to make the regulations. I am also member of the Circle of Trust for the SINAC, which is similar stuff with the Hacker Advisory Board member on the background. And I am actually envoy for Turkey, which is something like ambassador. I earned more than $1 million US in bounties in like 3 years. And I have 3 kids. I call them devils. So I am father of 3 devils. You can find me on the Twitter with this handle, MC IPEKCI, it is my name. So let's go. What is DNS? DNS is actually a heart of the internet. It is actually helping us to access the domains, subdomains. Without the DNS, we can't do this. But this is the DNS is, terminal, how to say, explanation, It is translating the names of the domains to connect on the network. So why it is important? Literally everything on the internet depends on the DNS. Without DNS, we can't communicate with the web service. We need to... My wife is calling, She's always perfect in time. Okay. And, without DNS, we need to type all the numbers like 9.9.9.9. We will forget which number we are going to enter to access anything. So as the things go into bigger for the organizations, like Microsoft, let's say, or Starbucks, maybe you must know from the disclosed reports, it is so hard to handle DNS hygiene for them, which is causing lots of problems. Or, when they create lots of entries for changing the records for, let's say they switch to the web application firewall, like Imperva. It is actually a pain in the ass for the deal. But if they don't change the IP address of the server, but just changing the record for the Imperva, it's actually leading such a fun stuff. So lack of DNS hygiene and DNS records history actually increasing attack surface for us, for attackers, So let's see how it could be abused, I actually give some insight on the previous slide. Subdomain hijacking, in other words, subdomain takeover. It is one of the popular issues recently, like for last 6 years or 7 years. Actually, it was abused for like maybe 20 years, but it is just getting popular with people getting the bug bounty stuff, And we can find the origin IP. That is what I was saying previously. Origin IP is actually the IP address of the server directly running. But when application is running behind the web application firewall, we can't access the server directly. So for bypassing the web application firewall, we can actually use the origin IP and totally ignore the web application firewall. And we can actually use this records of the historical subdomains for the virtual host enumeration. If you know virtual host, it's actually how web services handling which website should be taken in the account on the user request. So let's go to examples. Subdomain hijacking. Subdomain hijacking or subdomain takeover is an issue that occurs when DNS hygiene is not properly done by the organizations. So it could be abused in many ways, such as, let's see, many APTs actually using the subdomain takeovers. Maybe you are not aware. They are using it for the scamming the people or fooling the employees of the organizations, like making the valid looking web pages. And they're also using this stuff to bypass the several stuff of the, popular antivirus softwares, because that domains actually are trusted by them. And it could be abused for such a vulnerability, which is many of us favorite cross-site scripting, because it is running on the same domain of our target. We can basically run the XSS codes on the subdomains. We can actually exploit course misconfigurations. Basically, when APIs looking for the origins, they trust for the subdomains of their organization or their application. We can basically abuse it for course misconfiguration, or some of us using it for the SSRF, For whitelist bypass, we can use the actually hijacked subdomains, because on these configurations, they sometimes not allowing us to use any domain. But if we use the subdomain we hijacked, we can actually bypass their whitelist. So that way we can actually abuse SRSS issues. And that is my favorite. This is the sanction takeover. For abusing this, we actually don't need any vulnerability than basic cookie misconfigurations or sanction misconfigurations. So while XSS and course misconfiguration stuff are common ways to abuse subdomain takeovers, did you know if your target is setting the cookies for the upper level, any upper level than their current one, you can actually take over the sanction cookies without using any XSS or course issue. That is what I am going to show you. As long as you can serve any content to victims, you can actually take over the sanctions. And this is one of the safe-looking web pages, right? Maybe you must know this target. I can't disclose, but you can just guess from the, exclamation mark on the end. It is one of the popular targets for bug bounty hunters. And this is looking very safe, right? There is no XSS on this page. They are just seeing the image I sent to them. So basically, this is the issue we find out with today's new, if you know him, with Eric. It was very good stuff, but it was actually so hard to deal. While we investigate in target, we observed that subdomain we take over is not so easy to abuse, because it was very long subdomain. It had like very long words on it, and it had like, I think, 4th or 5th level of the subdomain. So it is so hard to let the victims visit that kind of page, because it is not, easy to trust. So we were looking for potential ways, and then we observed that application is actually sending images to users from the third party called Tenor. You know the Tenor? It is actually allowing them to send images from there. But actually what was they doing wrong? They were not proxifying the address of the image. So they were allowing users to directly use the address of the image. So we tried this, If you see here, the part on the red box, there is a Tenor's URL for the image file. So basically, this is the request we intercepted. And we tried to change the stuff, So we decided to change the location of the image. So I actually made some fun looking code. You can scan this QR if you want to get the sample exploit. This is actually a PHP script. It is acting like an image, but it is actually logging all requests it is receiving. So this is actually basic image file, but since this is accessed by the user and the cookies of the target is set to the upper level, we are receiving all the cookies of the target. So with this, we just hosted it on the here, and it was the subdomain we took over, I can disclose the rest of the part. and we just sent the image like this. And then once the user view our email, without any accesses again or any other stuff, we were able to take over their session, and we were able to actually take over their account. We were able to access. I actually accessed the triager's email address, and he was like, okay. But sad part is they supposed to pay $50,000 for this one, but we only got like 15,000. So they a bit scammed us, So the next type of stuff is the origin IP. That is what I was saying. It is actually one of my favorites, because with origin IP, we can actually bypass the web application firewall provider. Like many of us is hating the Incapsula or Akamai, this stuff is actually load balancing stuff. And they are actually requiring the origin server to be accessed. So if it is known to you or somehow it is leaked before, you can actually ignore the web application firewall and directly contact the server. So this is the target on the SINAC. I was testing like 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago. We noticed that there is some stuff like site/file uploads, And when I tried to access, it said no files found for upload, and it was given the stack error. So I continued to check the stuff, and I tried to change the content type of the form to multi-part, so I can try to upload data. And it's actually given the error directly and showing me it is requiring some extra stuff. Then I continue checking the target, And the thing is with file uploads, you should also try to long file names, because if you exceed the operating system's allowed character limit, you can force it to give an error, like this file is not able to be copied or it's not able to open. As you can see, it is given now another error, file name too long. And it is actually disclosing the actual source of the target. And it is actually helped me to find out the missing part of this vuln, But so far, we are not using the origin IP. So when I try to upload basic PHP script, and our best friend Incapsula said, no, request unsuccessful. So it was not allowing me to proceed. Basically, you can bypass this. If you have bypass, you can exploit this on the many websites. So I try to check the historical reports, records of the subdomain. And if you notice that, they switched to the Incapsula in 2022. But their previous IP was set on the 2020. And I tried this IP address here to see if it is actually still available to be accessed. And then we see it is actually accessible. And we actually bypass the web application firewall. So we no more need to deal with Incapsula, and we can actually upload our file. And this allowed, actually, it was showing us the file upload name, because it is changing the file upload name too. And when we access the file, as you can see, we were able to exploit the issue and run comments on the server. So this way, I was able to get lots of bounty. This is one of the reports I am showing. And after that, I start checking target more, because when I am hunting, I am not making the report directly, especially on SINAC. We have analytics on the SINAC, and on analytics, you can actually, when you send some stuff, you are actually showing others to, yeah, there is an issue, so others can check too. What I do is I actually hoard all the vulnerabilities and let them go in one time, I make drafts and then send them in same second. And this is the amount of the bounties I got from the origin IP disclosure. It is around, I think, 40,000 or 45,000 on this target. And all of them reported on same day. And the next one is virtual host enumeration. It is one of my favorites too. With virtual host enumeration, it is actually, developers sometimes need to set multiple web servers or domains on the same server because they lack resources or they are not allowed to open another server. So basically, this is a common issue. I can say you that it is actually common issue for maybe like 30 years because they are leaving the configurations for a long time, you know. Even if the DNS record for the target is removed, they are not removing the configuration. So we can actually abuse this too. So this is, you know, the information about the virtual host stuff. The most lovely stuff is many targets are actually using load balancers, you know, and the load balancers actually using virtual host too. And sometimes, like I said, their DNS admin is removing the record, but their developers still having the configuration for that virtual host. And it is actually leading to many issues, you know. Even though DNS record are removed, they sometimes leave the configuration and we can abuse this. So basically, there is a load balancer called Blue Code. I'm not sure if you ever faced it. It is one of the popular one. And actually, if you are exploiting SQL injection stuff with SQL map, there is a special temper for it too, Blue Code. It is this is a load balancer, you know. And Blue Code is actually load balancer, but it is having full proxy capabilities, you know. It is directly sending your request to the target server. So whatever header you have, directly sent to the target. It is not changing anything. It is just assigning its own header, x dash Blue Code, to see which user is responsible for it. And then that allows us to bypass WAF, because if you find the origin IP of the Blue Code, or let's say target is directly running under Blue Code, you can abuse the alt or leftover configurations. Many bug bounty hunters actually not doing this, but you should do it. So as you can see, I just sent a host value as SINAC, you know, and if you check the error I get, it is saying the DNS unresolved under as host name. It is saying your requested host, SINAC, could not be resolved by the DNS. So it is actually resolving the DNS and connecting the target server. So basically, even if the actual DNS server of the target or DNS configurations not having the stuff, the local settings of the Blue Code is having the virtual host assigned for each IP address, which is actually internal IP addresses. And it is trying to resolve and access the target. So basically, what I did is check the historical records of the DNS or subdomains of the target. And I used the intruder, you know, and I just hide every unnecessary stuff because I only need the valid ones, you know. And then there is our victim, you know. See, we got the 200 OK response, and then I decided to see if it is a valid application. As you can see, we have some similar stuff, but they were not vulnerable applications. So that's why I hide their names. So basically, what I did is assigning the host name for subdomain on the burps configuration. So with that way, I can directly access it from the browser. So I don't need to deal with burp site, you know. So when we access actually having the application, as we can see, and it is having the account and password login page, and there is a endpoint. But actually, this is very old application. You can just get that feeling from the UI of the application, you know. So basically what I did is changing the endpoint to admin without any login, and it was showing me contents of the target. And you see it is having database search or applicant eligibility lookup stuff. These are the functionalities of the target. So this is actually one of the funny targets I exploited like last 2 or 3 months ago. And I actually sent one of the TVs about how I exploited remote code execution with using only single ampersand instead of double ampersand. It was the same target. It had lots of issues because it is an old target. So when we went to the database search functionality of the application, you can see we can enter all the details. I just hide the unnecessary ones. on the daytime, many actually hunters not doing this too. I put some SQL payloads directly without using any proxy, you can see. And I just use the search button, and then we will see error, This is SQL injection. And it is directly given the database version of the target. But if you check something, this is actually second order SQL injection. Just a second. Okay. If you check the endpoint again, this is the endpoint we sent the payload, and then the result coming from another endpoint. So this was actually second order SQL injection. So basically, you sent the input on the one endpoint, and then another endpoint is processing your input. This is what we call second order SQL injection. So if you let this issue exploited by SQL map, it would be failing, because SQL map will not able to detect this, because it was actually like third or fourth page on the result. So that is why I always say, try to understand the application, try to see how it is handling stuff instead of using automated stuff. So all of these tests are actually done as manual. I am not using any automation. And let's see. And this is the amount of the bounties I got that program. As you can see, I got $10,000 for SQL injection. It is actually so hard to get on the SINAC. With the new changes, we are able to get this. And that target, I was able to get 30,000 1 month and another 30,000 in next month. So total 60,000 on this target in like 2 months. And I am being honest with you, I just spent like total 5 hours on this target. So conclusion is a lack of DNS hygiene causing lots of issues to organizations, especially the ones with having lots of assets like Starbucks. I said that is why you were seeing they are getting lots of subdomain hijacking reports before, or we can abuse the because of the DNS for the increase in attack surfaces. Like I said again. Many hunters is doing stuff wrongly because they just trust in the current data and they just fit the stuff on the nuclei. Don't do this. I mean, nuclei is a good tool, but stop believing what nuclei giving to you. Just improve your manual testing and believe in yourself. Because I can tell you, there is a Orva, he's one of the best hunters. And I am telling you, he's not doing something different than me, and I'm not doing something different than him. And same for Eric, today is new. You must know him. He's like number one on the many platforms. He's one of the lovely guys, one of the people I love to collaborate. But he's not doing something else. Trust me, like till last year, he was not using even nuclei. He was using the simple stuff he made like 10 years ago from Visual Basic, He was using Visual Basic scripts. So stop thinking overcomplicated, but go back to basics. If you know the basics, you can exploit stuff easily. Like 3 months ago, I gave another speak on the Turkey. It was about reading the manuals, I told them this too. Just read the manuals. Because if you read the manuals, you will actually start to understand how is your target is handling stuff. Same for the DNS. DNS is nothing black magic, So as long as you trust your feelings and you have the knowledge, you will succeed. None of the top hunters doing something different than you. But many of the beginning hunters or hunters who are thinking they are not being successful, they are just doing overcomplicated stuff. The thing I can tell you, stop believing what you see on the Twitter. Stop using everyone's payloads. Just start increasing your knowledge. Because copy pasting stuff will not let you success. So anyway, this is my talk. I hope you liked it. If you have any question, I am open. Thank you for having me on this lovely country of Bharat or India, I love you guys. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, just go feel free. Yeah, go on.
So basically the DNS hygiene is the issue, right? Like once they moved to the WAF, they forgot to change their own IP address.
Yeah,
So if they change the IP address, would that fix it?
it depends. Again, if they change the IP address to something like third-party provider like Akamai or Incapsula, they might be actually connecting the origin IP if it is not providing them to server. That is why we are checking if origin IP is available. I am not sure if, yeah, let's see. Wait a second. You will see that here. If you see, the target changed their IP address on the 2022, but the origin IP, the last record was 2020. And that server was actually still accessible. What Incapsula is doing, this IP address handling your request and sending back to here. So we basically ignoring the web application firewall and directly making contact. So that way we can get over of the web application firewall and we can use our payloads freely.
I think this is a mistake everyone who works in deploying a website does. So let's say, like when I deploy a website, my own website,
Yeah.
I create it on a server,
Yeah.
I attach a domain to it. But then later on, I realize I need Cloudflare or some WAF.
Yeah.
I use Cloudflare. I just give my IP and route it through
You
Cloudflare.
must, if you are changing your server to something else, I mean, if you are applying the web application firewall, you must get rid of the old IP address. Or just, you must change the configuration. This is another misconfiguration actually.
Yeah.
You should only accept connections from the provider. Most of the organizations are not doing this. This is why we are able to exploit the origin IP stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Any other question? Feel free, guys. I can try to reply or answer. Okay, no questions, I think. Thank you for having me again. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.